Hi everyone! Now that it is officially spring, we can start talking about gardening. So one of the big questions people ask is, should I start from seed? Should I buy plants? And really those answers are up to you. There's certainly some plants that I start from seed, whereas others I buy as already sort of started little plants. So today I figured we would talk about that scenario. So you go to the store and you buy the plants and you transplant them into your own garden. I actually buy some of my plants online from a really wonderful shipper called the Growers Exchange, but there are so many options out there. I'll link some of them into the follow-up text of this video. But today we'll just talk about some best practices. So this is a tiny little rosemary plant that I had shipped from the Growers Exchange. So when you are receiving plants like this, one of the most important things is sort of let those plants adapt to your environment for a day or two before you really get them in the soil. Sometimes what I'll do is just like set the plant out in its little container, sort of where I'm going to put it in the garden, so I have a little time to adapt to, sort of how much sun there is and what the average temperature is for those days, etc. So you want to make sure you do that. If the plant is a little bit dry, a little bit sad looking when you get it, that's okay. You might want to just perk it up, give it a little bit of water, and again giving it some sunshine and then some nighttime as well. So I'm actually going to be planting these into some raised beds that I have here in my garden, and I've already actually dug the little holes. But basically, the most important things is when you are transplanting these, you want to make sure that you've dug a big enough hole so that the entire, plant and root system is covered. It's important to keep the root system as intact as possible, but if it's very tightly packed in the pot, you might want to kind of mess up the roots just a little bit to wake them up a little so that they're ready to spread out into the new soil. So for this guy, I'm just going to sort of pop it out, and hopefully it'll kind of stay like that. And then you're able to just transplant it right into that hole. Now the soil that I'm putting this into is already quite wet because it actually rained yesterday, but that's another thing. You can actually prep the soil a little bit by giving it a little bit of water before you even put the plant in. And it's just really important to make sure that you're not covering it too deeply with soil. So see how I'm kind of moving the soil around it a little bit. And you also want to make sure that you're giving your plants enough room so that once they get a little bit bigger, they're not going to be running into each other too much. So I've given this probably about 6 inches of space between this one and the next one. And these rosemaries are perennial plants, so I'm just making sure to put this in a place where I'm going to be happy with it coming back next year. Whereas if you were getting an annual plant, you might be able to sort of make a different decision the next year. So I hope that gives you just like a short little insight into transplanting your plants. And again, I'll do sort of a longer text follow-up from this below. Thanks so much. Happy gardening.